It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, getting boned, getting high, getting shook. I'll show you folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. Feel it to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll man. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to the 2007 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. You join us here on ESPN for the Auto Club 400 as we take you to race 10 of number 36. It is California here as we take you to the D-shaped 2-mile oval for race number 10 of the season. Big racetrack here, and what a surprise, it's Greg Biffle in his 16 putting his Roush Ford on the front row. He starts in first on pole here today. Joining him on that front row is going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Ford's looking competitive here today. Rest of the starting lineup as we go down the order: Jamie McMurray in the 40, he starts in third, and Kyle Busch will be in the fourth position in the 43 car. Todd Bodine puts a 77 for Jasper, he's in fifth, and DJ Kennington in sixth place. That's last week's winner. Seventh is going to be Kevin Harvick, and eighth goes to David Runeman in the 98, a nice qualifying for Aikens. Ninth is going to be Elliott Sadler, and Ryan Newman rounds out the top 10. 11th goes to John Andretti. Martin Truex Jr. will be in 12th position. Robbie Gordon in 13th, and Jimmy Johnson in the 14th position. Clint Boyer qualifies in the 15th position, and Jeff Gordon in P number 16. 17th, that'll be Casey Kane, and Bobby Labonte in the 18th spot. Mike McLaughlin, that'll be 19th place, and 20th goes to Tony Stewart. 21st will be Scott Wimmer. AJ Allmendinger in the 07. He puts that race car for McGlynn in 22nd place. 23rd goes to Casey Atwood, and Kurt Busch in the 24th position. JJ Yaley will be in P25, Ricky Hendrick in 26th, Matt Kenseth starts in 27th place, and Juan Pablo Montoya will be in 28th. 29th, that'll be Brad Keselowski in the 2, Jason Leffler will be in P30, Carl Edwards 31st, and Jacques Villeneuve in the 49 for BAM, that's 32nd place. 33rd will be Scott Riggs and Marcos Ambrose in the 34th position. Jeff Burton will start in 35th, Morgan Shepherd 36th. 37th, that'll be Eric Norris's 51 machine. Jeremy Mayfield, a bit of a rough qualifying. He'll be in 38th. 39th will be Ricky Craven in the 96. Casey Mears in 40th. And rounding out the field in the back row, it'll be Brian Vickers in 41st and Jeffrey Bodine in the 7 for Jermaine in 42nd place. 42 car field, as always. It's a 75 lapper here from California as we take you to the racetrack for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from California.
Drivers, start your engines! Is that okay?
Engines roar to life as we get set to roll. 75 laps. Biffle and Earnhardt Jr. pair of forwards on the front row as we get set to roll. Low banked 2-mile intermediate as Greg Biffle rolls us off. This is his bread and butter, these racetracks. He is so good at these places, puts that 16 on pole. And California, a racy track, always going to see a lot of guys fanning out on the start. It is such a wide racetrack. There are so many lanes to work with. That top lane usually likes to work. On that outside, we see these guys defend very nicely on the outer lane. And of course, California, pit stops are going to be important. Tires not so important at this racetrack. It's mostly just the pit stop itself. We see this field slowly stretch out over the course of the race, and those pit stops are going to be the most important factor in today's race.
Yeah, and I would say early in this race is going to be your best position to move up spots in this race. You got to get the elbows out because as the race goes forward, it's going to string out more and more. You got to nail your pit stops as best you can, even when exiting the pits at this racetrack can be a problem. Sometimes we see guys get down into the grass, have to slow down, and they end up losing quite a bit of time from that. So really just execution and getting the elbows out early in this race is going to be the name of the game. We'll see who's able to get the elbows out most here early on. But as this race goes on, you've got to start thinking about how you can execute.
Going to be one of the raciest tracks on the calendar, as always, is California. Pace car going to peel off. Earnhardt Jr. on the outside, Greg Biffle on the inside as we get set to race here in Cali. It's the Auto Club 400 here on ESPN, and we are green as we race off into turn number 1. Battle for the lead, entering turn number 3 already. McMurray got underneath the poles there. Biffle, he jumped to the inside, and Jamie McMurray's Polaroid Dodge takes away the lead just a half a lap into this race. Had a great 3 and 4, and he will lead the opening lap.
And how about Todd Bodine, qualified great in the 5th spot, climbs up to 2nd on that start. So the 77, a blistering start to this race.
3rd place qualifier and 5th place qualifier both got past the leader on the opening lap. You see Biffle on the outside there. Field spans very wide behind. I believe there might have been contact on the start. Would like to review this between the 98 of Ryan Newman and the 98 of David Rudiman and the 38 of Ryan Newman, as it was Truex up the inside of his teammate 4 wide. And yeah, Rudiman just didn't quite give that 38 enough room. Those are aligned teammates, as the Aikens 98 gets some equipment from Yates, and those two got into each other on the start. And of course, another teammate of the 38 involved, that 28 of Truex, on the middle low side of 4 wide into turn 1 on that opening lap. So a little bit of contact to start, but everybody kept it clean.
Yeah, and just early in this race, as I said, you got to get spots when you can, and if that means going 4 wide, then you got to go for it. And as racy as this racetrack is, it also likes to spread out. And the one thing you don't want to do as this race goes forward is beat yourself. You cannot beat yourself, because once you get out of the draft at this racetrack, it is very hard to catch up. You know, it's not a pack race like a Daytona or Talladega, but the draft can definitely pull you along. You're able to maybe even save a little bit of fuel sticking in behind another car. So once you get out of that, it's very, very difficult.
Battle for the lead here on the backstretch, lap number 4. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is number 88 underneath of McMurray for first going into turn 3. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes it the first official lead change of today's race, as he takes away first from the 40. Bodine closing in from 3rd, and last week's winner DJ Kennington off to a strong start here today as well.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we talk about DJ Kennington, the raw speed that they have had this season is championship contending speed. And as they have entered now the top 3 in points, his wins have been very, very convincing. When he wins races, he leaves his mark and lets you know that 81 was fast. which is almost the complete opposite of what it was last season, kind of stealing races at the end. Now, of course, very deserving wins were those, but I've been on a team that really hadn't found their bearings until he climbed into it. The poise that they've shown early in the season is impressive to me.
Absolutely. And for Kennington, of course, last week at Vegas was another one of those dominating races where he just kind of ran away from everybody at the end of it. And also worth considering that we've seen a lot of this specific style of the development pipeline over the last couple seasons, where we have a driver who is technically a rookie but has already made a significant portion of Cup starts. Casey Kane wasn't a rookie in his first full-time season, was just over the threshold of minimum races started, but for him in that 12 car now this year, but of course when he started off with Yates, had made 3 different seasons where he was making part-time starts before he made a full-time campaign. DJ Kennington in the 81 car made about half of last year's starts, made 19 starts in the 81 last year, and now making his first official full-time season, even though he was technically full-time in the Cup Series for half of that year. Brad Keselowski as well made some starts in that 2 car last year, won a race, hasn't been off to a great start in this season, but another driver who followed that exact style of development, and it's really seemed to work for the majority of it. These guys have really started to come into their own. Kennington has been competitive. Keselowski obviously has a Cup win to his name, and Casey Kane, one of the very best in the Cup Series over the last season or two, and it's really just been this new style of development in Cup, and it's paid off for these team owners for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, I really like it. I think for a young driver to be thrust into a extremely competitive era of the sport, probably the most competitive era of the sport that we have ever seen, I think getting these young guys some Cup Series opportunities before they're ready to do it full time, I think that's absolutely the way it should be done. I think it gets them ready to produce at a high level from the moment they step into that car.
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of it. Scott Wimmer was one of the very first a handful of seasons ago, and he was part-time with Bill Davis still with that team, of course. See him up in front of Kane by a couple spots here. Clint Boyer, the number 4 driver, also another driver who was a replacement guy in the middle of last season with that 4 team, and another driver who has been competitive. So we've seen this really kind of work out for these guys. It's sort of been a breakthrough on the front of development for drivers, and we've seen more and more of it as these years have gone by. Battle for the lead has continued since we've been paying attention to the midfield. McMurray got the lead back from Earnhardt Jr. These two quite considerably out in front of the rest of the field right now. It's a battle for third between Kennington and Elliott Sadler right now, the 81 and 83.
I'll tell you what, for McMurray, the speed has been very, very impressive to me this season. He maybe doesn't have all the finishes to show for it, but Jamie McMurray, self-admittedly, is not a good qualifier, and today was finally able to put that car in a good position in qualifying, and it showed now that he's been able to grab the lead, really how much speed he has had this season. He has worked his way from the back so many times this season, and while sometimes he's gotten into trouble in that process, it cannot be overstated how good of a job he has done this season.
Absolutely. You think back to a couple of different races where he had some fantastic speed. Milwaukee was one that stands out the most as probably his best run of this season in that 40 car, and he was very competitive. And for McMurray, who is effectively one of those drivers that's kind of racing for his seat in the Cup Series right now, this is exactly the kind of run that he would want and what his teams that might be interested in him would want to see as well. And he is off to a fabulous start here under the sun in California. But Dale Earnhardt Jr., not making it easy for him, that 88, who has also been hungry for a win so far this year and has been one of the fastest drivers in the season so far, also been contending for this lead and back out front here on lap number 12.
Yeah, it's been a long time for Dale Jr., and I think what has been very encouraging, at least for me to see, is that he has emerged as a true leader on that team. Last season he was maybe not completely playing second fiddle to Casey Kane, but didn't have, the win that maybe he would have expected moving over to that team. Now this year, it seems like things are clicking more and more, and he has emerged as the true leader of Yates going forward.
Absolutely. And for Earnhardt Jr., who was kind of on the back foot at a part in the season, got suspended after Rockingham and missed a race, has him 19th in points, even though, if you ask anybody, he's been one of the most competitive drivers in this entire field. That 88 has been bad fast, and that back step didn't really catch him off guard at all. It took him just a week or two to get back to speed, and he has been up front consistently over the course of this entire season. And we saw it last season for Jimmy Johnson, of course, a driver who had been set on the back foot due to suspensions, and after his initial suspension was still just as competitive afterwards and had an outside chance at that championship before a second one took him out of it. So Earnhardt Jr. is proving again that missing a race might not be as big of a put you on the back foot as much as you might expect, and really trying to recover from it, and has consistently ran up front over and over again, and he's continued to climb that table in the standings. And he is looking bad fast today once again. Still looking for that first win since 2002 Talladega. It was race number 9 of that 2002 season that he last went to victory lane. And when you talk about a winless streak like that, it's someone who you might think maybe has ran in backmarker cars or not quite been in contention. He has been in contention for a long, long time since joining this Yates organization, and really just like to get the monkey off his back. It's been such a grueling stretch, and he's had the speed to do it, just hasn't quite been able to capitalize.
But I'll tell you, we've been talking about the speed of this 81 earlier in this race, and he has pulled up to the back bumper of the 88, was able to break through the threshold from the 83 on back. 81, another bad, fast race car. I would be very concerned if I was the rest of the field if you let that 81 get out front.
Earnhardt Jr. trying to carry that lead and keep him behind and in the mirror early in the running here today. Lap number 15 taking 16 as Earnhardt Jr. just able to cover him off there in 1 and 2. Ran about a lane higher, trying to find a little bit of that outside grit that this racetrack likes to provide, but Kennington looking for an opportunity to take that lead. It's 88, 81, 40, 83, 42. The top 5 right now as Kennington got underneath Earnhardt Jr. there in 3 and 4 this time and made it stick. Trying to keep it on his inside down the front stretch. McMurray going to make it a 3-horse race. But Earnhardt Jr. with the run on the outside stays clear of Kennington off into turn 1.
But McMurray going to pull up to the outside of Kennington here. We'll see if he's able to stick it. Looks like he will.
Got the run out of turn 2. We talk about that outside at this racetrack. It's a little bit better on the bottom in 3 and 4. Usually it's 1 and 2 where that outside really likes to shine, and Kennington really going to drive it off. We see a lot of that here, and he holds on to second place. It's a teammate battle for third now as Tony Stewart, who has found some speed in the middle portion of this run, pulls up to his teammate side by side for third down the front stretch.
Looks like McMurray had just edged him out at the line there, but Ganassi again has been really, really strong this year, which to me is not really much of a surprise. They have been one of, if not the most complete team in the garage area for the past couple seasons now. That team just seems like they've got it all figured out. They just need to break through and win one.
Yeah, just gotta put it together. We've seen it this season. Kurt Busch already has won this year. Tony Stewart and McMurray both have been competitive. I believe Tony Stewart does have a win to his name this season, though I might be mistaken on that front. But Earnhardt Jr. and Kennington still first and second. McMurray dropped back down to 5th. It's about 6 cars in this mix up front right now. Biffle, the last straggler that is a member of this group. And it's even gaps all the way back, so it's hard to say where the line of contenders up front starts and stops, as Biffle, Bodine, Newman all in line. 9th belongs to Atwood, and Gordon and Harvick battling for 10th right now. But it's hard to tell exactly where that line ends, as Sadler gave up the bottom to McMurray there. Kennington also trying to get underneath of Junior again. That 88 just working that outside beautifully right now from the lead.
And if you're Dale Earnhardt Jr., you are a man on a mission. You know, you have arguably the fastest car in the race, which is something that I don't think he's been able to say for quite a long time, that he is the fastest car in the race. So you got to defend for your life if you're that 88, because there's a lot of doubts growing maybe within the fan base that Dale Jr. maybe peaked a little early in his career, but I think he wants to shut a lot of people up, and I think he absolutely has the opportunity to do that.
Had a monumental run out of turn 4 that time and left the 81 in the dust, as Tony Stewart is going to duck underneath Kennington for second place, saying, hey, we lost a lot of time that lap, want to get back to that 88 and maybe make a run at the lead himself. Stewart, prolific at this racetrack. This is another one of the drivers that has been really competitive, specifically here. Tony Stewart really loves to run well at California, and moving into second place, doing that once again here today.
If you remember back to last season, second to last race of the season, Tony Stewart was the fastest car in that race, but got put a little bit on the back foot with a bad pit stop. Robbie Gordon ended up winning that race by a long, long ways. But for Tony, he was left wondering what could have been. And now, sitting second in points, the highest person in points without a win, you really want to make sure that you can get back to victory lane, because momentum is such a game changer in this sport. And if Tony Stewart were to take the points lead, watch out, because he knows how to win a championship.
And that was the whole point of Tony Stewart coming over to Ganassi in that 42 car. Said, I want the best opportunity I can to keep being competitive and have a team built around me. And of course, also worked well with his teammates. Kurt Busch loving to have Tony Stewart aboard, and those two have worked well together. That team just as a whole, you mentioned it earlier, probably the most complete team in the garage, at least from a driver's standpoint. And they've been showing it. Every single one of their drivers has had flashes of competitive speed over the course of the season. People thought the way they went bust for the championship last season ended up falling apart at the end with Kurt Busch. Wondered if they might end up on the back foot with the new car, with their engine troubles and everything in between, but they have not missed a beat this season. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. at the 88, going to pit in from the lead here on lap number 23. It's going to be right on the nose. It always is at this racetrack.
Elliott Sadler going to join him, Casey Atwood as well. So expect to see the rest of these guys come in within the next 1 to 3 laps.
And we always talk about this racetrack. It is so on the nose on the fuel runs here. It gets right around that 25-lap margin when it's a 75-lap race. And if it goes green, it can be a fuel game, but we never usually see that at this racetrack. We always get 1 or 2 yellows over the course of the race. But Tony Stewart into the race lead after junior pit, but him and Kennington are going to bring it down pit road here, lap number 24.
We'll see if anybody stays out to join them. Looks like most of the field came in. One car stayed out. I believe that was Edwards.
Number 19 of Carl Edwards is going to stay out another lap, make it 25. That is important for the fuel game, so he stays out an extra lap. Trying to make it thirds is the 19. And nobody really within his zip code. The next car on the same strategy is J.J. Yaley's number 10. Mayfield, Riggs, and Burton also on the same strategy. Those are the only 5 that make it that 1 extra lap.
And if you're these guys, you're just hoping for this race to go green, because this strategy, if played correctly, could win you the race. Now we'll see later on who's able to save fuel and do all of that, but definitely something to watch as this race goes on. If this race goes green, that could be a strategy to watch going forward.
And Carl Edwards and Yaley putting themselves into a perfect position. Again, this racetrack, the fuel runs so tight. How about that 01 Kurt Busch put together a fantastic pit stop. Not sure where he was before the pit cycle, was around 12th. And we talk about it, the pit stops are the most important aspect of this race. Kurt Busch gained almost 10 spots on that one stop, moves himself into the top 5, but Tony Stewart and DJ Kennington nailed that pit stop, and the 42 is going to take away the lead from Dale Earnhardt Jr. here once they cycle out. Edwards leaving the pit lane there on the bottom, but 42 passes him and moves into first.
Dale Jr. has driven right back up to the back bumper of that 81. 88, a bad fast race car, maybe the fastest car on the racetrack. If he gets back into the lead, he was the only car that we saw as a part of that who was able to really break away. And that's a good indicator of who may and may not be fast.
So it is a 3-horse race for the lead now. Tony Stewart, DJ Kennington, Dale Earnhardt Jr. under a blanket. Kurt Busch not far out of the mix in 4th. Atwood also had himself a fabulous pit stop, moved into 5th. That is your top 5 here on lap number 27 from the Auto Club 400. Kennington took a look at Stewart for the lead. Couldn't quite find the nose there or the exit speed, and Stewart holds on to first. Jr. going to go to the outside, Kurt Busch to the bottom.
Big time dive bomb from the bottom lane there. Gonna shuffle Junior back to 4th. Casey Atwood has joined the party now. It is a 5-car race for the race lead. Here coming to lap 28.
Kennington trying to follow in the footsteps of that 42. Busch might make it a dive to the bottom for second. He did. Trying to make it a Ganassi 1-2. Busch on the bottom. Kennington got a little bit squirrely there in the middle of turns 1 and 2, and Kurt Busch moves into second place.
Atwood trying to follow him through. The two guys who really netted really big out of that pit cycle. And for Casey Atwood, it's been a rough season so far. You know, through the summer stretch of last season, really looked like he was going to win a race for the first time in his career. But towards the end, kind of faltered a little bit, and we've never really seen that momentum come back. What a momentum booster this would be for that 30 team, and maybe, just maybe, they would be able to find some more speed up front if they're able to finish this off today.
Yeah, for Atwood in that 30 car, been around since the turn of the millennia and still hasn't yet been able to find that first career win. He's been looking for it for so long and has had so many chances. You think back to Pocono last season, Nashville, he was very competitive. It's really just a long time coming for him, and it's one of those situations where you as a driver just start to think about, what do I got to do to get it done? And here at California, yet another opportunity, looking bad fast and might have a chance for it. What a run for him down the front stretch, going to try to maybe take it 3 wide. Does he get underneath Kurt Busch? He does. Can he make it stick here in 1 and 2? Side by side for the lead once again, as Busch took first from his teammate. Atwood trying to keep it pinned down on the bottom, but the run on the outside for Busch is going to get him the nose ahead. Stewart going to try to take it 3 wide on the bottom here against the 30 in the 01, and he does.
Yeah, Stewart pulled right down in front of Junior there, had a big run, and is going to take it all the way to the race lead. Power move from the 42.
What a move there. It was Kurt Busch who led the lap the last time, 3 wide again, 01:30.88. Just what a move by that 42, and he ran away from him off of turn 4 that time.
And all of this battling has pulled the 6th place car, Elliott Sadler, right up to these guys. So the more they battle, the more and more cars get up there, as Casey Atwood with a big run up the middle of 3 wide, he's going to solidify second.
Beat them all back to the gas, got to second place. Sadler moving up into the mix, ducked underneath of Kennington, trying to find his way into the top 5. Next closest car is 7th place, Casey Kane. 8th is Robbie Gordon. Ricky Hendrick, a nice recovery drive in 9th. And Edwards, that driver on the strategy to watch, he sits in 10th. Battle for P2. Atwood and Kurt Busch as the 01 Target Dodge back down to the bottom against the 30. And he is not quite clear, and now clear in turn 2. Atwood trying to find the run on the outside. And my goodness, did he kept it on the quarter panel as they head down the back stretch, though Kurt Busch going to probably try to drive it off into 3 here. Kennington right behind, putting the pressure on. Busch clear of Casey Atwood. But never mind, second breath by Atwood there on the outside. What a run on the middle of the corner all the way to the exit. He found the way back to the throttle. I have no idea how he got back to the gas that early, and he stays second place.
Yeah, it looked like Dale Jr. had tried that as well, but he didn't get the run that Casey Atwood did. We haven't seen that all race. The 30 car really working that top well.
Busch stays third. Kennington fourth. Battles for 5th between Sadler and Earnhardt Jr. as they head towards turn number 3. Sadler going to drive it in on the bottom. We talk about that bottom side in turn 3. You can really drive it off in there. This racetrack is so wide, and you have such a straight shot down to the bottom from all the way against the wall. And Sadler takes advantage of it, moves into 5th. Still a 6-horse race at the moment, though these guys spread out just a little bit. And Atwood trying to take the fight to Stewart for first. Couldn't quite keep it down there.
That was a great run for Stewart off the top side. Looks like Kurt Busch going to have a big run for second. Going to pull underneath. Going to drive it in deep this time.
Atwood also drove it pretty hard there into turn 3, trying to stay in front of that 0-1. Though Busch a much better exit this time as he keeps it down low on the 30. Kennington pulls into the mix from 4th. As he might take it 3 wide going into turn 1. Thought better of it, and Kurt Busch covers him off. Takes second place away. See if Atwood can get another big run. Not this time. But Busch...
I'll tell you what, Tony Stewart arced that corner like a dream. Absolutely plowed away from the field.
Planted that throttle so early. There's so many different ways you can run the corners at this racetrack, and Stewart used every inch of racetrack off of turn 2 that time. Stays in front. At the line, 35 laps completed, 40 laps to go. Here for the race leaders, as it is once again a Ganassi 1-2, 42.01. Worth checking up on that 40 car, McMurray, who really had a rough pit stop. Something went wrong there, and he is outside of the top 30 right now. That is a rough break.
Yeah, and it seems like for McMurray, when he does qualify well, the race falls apart, but when he doesn't qualify well, he has to drive up through the field. It's just really a bad stroke of luck for that 40 car. Really unfortunate. He has one of the best cars in this race.
So as this race continues, Kane and Robbie Gordon not too terribly far out of the mix up front, but still it is just these 6. And once again, at that point where the lines blur between contending for the lead and not, as they are spaced out just a little bit between each other. Busch and Stewart in control of this race here as we are approaching that halfway mark.
As we get closer and closer, we start to wonder, could this race go green the whole way? Usually we don't see it happen, but there hasn't really been a sign of any natural yellow yet in this race, which means you need to start thinking more and more about how you're going to split this race strategy-wise. 19 on the strategy to watch right now, furthest one up on that strategy. But maybe a few of these guys up front who have been drafting have been able to save a lap or 2 of fuel, maybe get them in position to do what the 19 did earlier on that last stop.
3 wide for the lead into turn number 3. Kurt Busch tried to block. Kennington couldn't. What a move by that 81. Took out 2 birds with 1 stone, and he got past both of the Ganassi cars for the lead. The MB&A Chevrolet back up front.
And as much as we talk about Greg Biffle being fast at these kinds of racetracks, DJ Kennington was able to grab a win at Michigan last season, out-dueling the best of the best in this sport and cementing himself as one of the best himself. Now coming to California, looking just as fast as ever. This is a track type that seems to suit him very, very well.
Yeah, that 81 team with Kennington have really just nailed the intermediates, and these 2-milers especially, that 81 has just been so fast. He has won on this racetrack in the Busch Series in his career before, as we see Earnhardt Jr. finding a second breath late in this run. Gonna duck underneath a Kurt Busch, that's for second. Might get all the way to Kennington for the lead, but the 81 run on the outside, stays in first. Busch trying to clear as well from second place.
And Elliott Sadler has found some new hope as well. Had started to fall off them a little bit, but has entered the top 5. 83 not looking too shabby late in this run.
Lap number 40 taking lap number 41. Sadler on the outside there of the 42 and 88. As DJ Kennington in the lead here from Auto Club. It is the Auto Club 400 here from California, as we take you to NASCAR Crank It Up here on ESPN. battle up front between that 01 of Kurt Busch and the 81 of DJ Kennington, approaching the second pit window in just a couple of laps here. We would expect it to open around 46, 47 for the drivers who pit the earliest on cycle number 1. But these leaders still racing hard. Kennington right on the back bumper of that 01.
And both of these two look just as fast as each other right now. Have just been able to draft off of each other and swap the lead a few times. Kennington this time going to stay underneath.
Issues. Greg Biffle. Caution is going to come out for the 16 car with engine trouble and has a tire down all at the same time. Believe he had a front tire go down and take something out on the motor, and he comes to a stop on the front stretch to bring out the first caution of the day, right as DJ Kennington takes the lead.
And Kurt Busch might not even stay in second. No, he won't. As Dale Earnhardt Jr. able to grab the second spot. So, a rough lap for Kurt Busch. But that throws the strategy out the window here for the 19 that we were watching so intently.
So for that 16, Greg Biffle had the right front tire go down on him, and it shredded something in the motor there, and he had two issues at once thanks to it, and Biffle's race falls apart in spectacular fashion. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, I guess when the tire exploded, it must have caught into something in the motor, maybe a valve spring or some sort of spark issue. I don't know exactly what that would have broken, but certainly broke something because it just came to a halt in a hurry.
So DJ Kennington going to lead the field down pit road here with 30 laps to go. It's just going to be over that final fuel run, so we are going to see one more pit stop in this race, but the field comes down here on lap number 46 for the race leader DJ Kennington, as him and Dale Jr. slow roll down to their pit boxes at the end of pit lane here.
Yeah, and worth mentioning, this is one of the longest pit lanes anywhere on the schedule, but also one of the widest. You usually don't see too many problems coming in and out here, just more so trying to blend in out of the pits is where we see issues.
4 tires and fuel for Kennington, the leader, as he drops it off the jack. Racing with Kurt Busch on pit entry. This is going to be tight between the top 3, and I believe Kennington had first place out of pit lane. That was tight.
Very tight, and Kurt Busch going to get that second place back. So it looks like Jimmy Johnson had stayed out there.
That he did. Led a lap. Don't know if he will stay any further. If he might bring it down pit road here on the second lap, just staying out for a lap led. But nonetheless, DJ Kennington, do believe he won the race off of pit road. I believe Dale Jr. was just barely second over that 01.
Looks like it. He is going to keep that second spot. Well, I guess third spot for the moment. We'll see if this 48 pits in. Does not look like it.
And like he's not going to. So Jimmy Johnson for the moment is going to be the leader. Probably only got a couple laps of fuel on that thing, but he sits in first. Kennington, the winner off of pit road. And we will be right back here from the Auto Club 400 at California. back from intermission here at California as we get set to go green. Jimmy Johnson probably only got a couple laps of fuel in his race car, but he stays out to take the lead. Lap number 49, taking lap 50 on the restart. To be 26 laps to go. DJ Kennington in the 81 won the race off of pit road. He starts in second. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be third. Kurt Busch fourth, and Carl Edwards found some speed late in this race, and a nice pit stop puts him in fifth.
Yeah, maybe the couple laps on tires had helped him move up through the field. Tires not particularly important here, but 19 starting to look really, really fast here. Another driver who hasn't won in quite a while, somebody who is really, really looking forward to try to get back to victory lane.
I believe it was 2005 Richmond that is the only Cup career win to the name of Carl Edwards, and we talked a lot earlier in this season about how this 19 has rejuvenated him, and he has been looking for his first win in a little bit of a while. Pace car peels in. Lap number 50 on the restart for Jimmy Johnson. The Lowe's 48 takes the lead on the restart, and we go green as the field is going to fan out towards turn one. Earnhardt Jr. looked to the outside of Kennington for second. Couldn't find it. Stewart jumps underneath of Carl Edwards. That is for fifth. As we race away into turn one, Kennington right up to the inside of Johnson right away, and he shoots back into the lead.
Did not take long for these guys to shuffle out the 48, and we'll see down into 3 if anybody gets stuck behind him and causes a stack up. 48 looks like he's going to get down just now. Going to get down to the bottom, and looks like he's going to pit this time. So, really not understanding what the decision there was to keep it on the racetrack.
Tell you what, actually, with this 48 car pitting here, with exactly 25 to go at the line, might be trying to make this his final pit stop of the race.
We'll see if him being by himself here is going to allow him to maybe save some fuel, but
and obviously
this could work out.
It's going to be an interesting strategy for him taking the tires now. Completely different than what everything else is going on around him, but he is going to fall a lap down as the leaders come around. DJ Kennington back to first, Junior second, Busch third, Stewart fourth, and P5, Casey Kane's number 12.
Kane has just quietly and methodically worked his way through this field. So I'll tell you what, starting to see some names up near the front now. How about Jeremy Mayfield up here? Saw him well within the top 10.
How about that recovery drive from the 54? I believe he started outside the top 35. J.J. Yaley's number 10, also a competitive run today. Saw him as one of the drivers who was on the alternate strategy early, and that 10 car very fast in today's race.
Yeah, and a run that 10 car has kind of been knocking on the door of this season. We've talked about him maybe more than expected. You know, maybe not winning speed at any points, but a car that has been able to contend with some of these guys. And it would be really nice to see that 10 car get the finish that he deserves.
Absolutely. A fantastic run out of that 10. Sits in the top 10 now as we approach 20 laps to go and a couple of times around. Race lead battle is between Kennington and Earnhardt Jr., the two probable fastest cars of this entire race, still sitting first and second. Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart also very quick, third and fourth. Trying to close up. Kane might thrust himself into this mix. Carl Edwards, of course, has been fairly quick and has found some speed late. Jeff Gordon as well on a quick run late in this race.
Yeah, Gordon's starting to find more and more speed as this race progresses. The lone Hendrick car up here, although I did see Brian Vickers not too far off, who started in the 41st position. So a good recovery drive for him as well.
Yeah, Vickers was right around the 40s. Believe it was 40th. It was 41st for Casey Mears in the 55 car. Those two really did not have a good qualifying on Saturday, but showing their faces up front. Another car down pit road, 83 of Elliott Sadler with damage on the right side of his race car. I believe he sustained that during the pit stops under yellow flag.
And that's unfortunate for Elliott Sadler because he was having a really, really good run today. Let's see.
Yeah, got into the path of Robbie Gordon.
Oh, right into the points leader. So, wonder where Robbie is running now because that was damage to the front end. Yeah, 19th. definitely down on speed after that for the 31.
So a rough break for a couple of drivers who were having some fairly competitive runs. Robbie Gordon was on the back end of the top 10 for most of today's race, and Sadler, who had shown some speed in the top 5. But meanwhile, the battle for the lead is ridiculous. While we panned away, it is 20 laps to go. Stewart, I believe, was on the bottom of 3 wide to take the lead. Casey Kane moved to the bottom of 3 wide, and now he's got first down the backstretch. Look at this pack for the race lead.
And this happened pretty much out of nowhere. For a while there, it was just the 88 and the 81 out front, and now the pack has strung together, and now we have a massive race for the lead.
Stewart almost took it 3 wide up the middle on Kane down the front stretch, side by side with his teammate. He will go up the middle.
He does it, and we'll see if he's able to get the lead here. Gonna push Casey Kane out of the preferred outside groove. Kane gonna have to fall back. Tony Stewart, power move. We'll see if he can make it stick here.
Stayed
Kurt
side
Busch
by side
likely
with his
gonna
teammate.
drive it in deep.
And he did.
Kurt drives in deep, gonna keep the lead. Kennington gonna try to drive down to the bottom for second, but Tony gets back to the gas. Not quite enough back for the race lead, but is gonna cover off second for the time being.
And you're starting to see drivers who haven't been in the conversation for the lead all day long who have made their way up to the front. You see Bobby Labonte's 18. Don't think we mentioned him a single time on this broadcast. Juan Pablo Montoya in the 84 also here. Mayfield, Yaley, Kyle Busch, everybody else pulling into the mix, wanting some themselves.
And the more and more cars that pull into this battle, the more and more draft that guys can get. Runs will get bigger. And more racing is going to get crazier as this finish progresses. Going to have one more pit stop, so it should string up again. But for now, you got to try to get the track position while you can.
Busch and Stewart, first and second place, as the Ganassi cars once again are 1-2.
And for Tony Stewart, it's hard to believe it's been over a season since his last win. You gotta think, for him, that feels like an agonizingly long wait.
Sitting second to his teammate, Kennington sits in third. Jeff Gordon, who has found a heck of a lot of speed late in this race, has moved into the 4th position, as has Labonte, who sits 5th. It's anybody's game now late, but we still got a money stop remaining for these race leaders. Busch out in P1. Kennington to the bottom, all the way to the race lead, trying to get with Busch for first.
He's gonna pack it on that bottom, but the 01 gonna have the run off the top. Kurt gonna retain the lead for now. We'll see how deep Kennington drives in to get alongside. Not quite able to do it. Kurt gonna cover him off. Arcs that corner and gets a really, really good exit.
Jeff Gordon continuing his march forward, already a winner this season at Rockingham. He moves into 3rd. Tell you what, 24 is the biggest mover of this run.
Absolutely he is. And he's bringing Dale Earnhardt Jr. back with him in tow. We know that 88 car is fast, as he's going to try to pull up in front of Tony Stewart here.
Pulled it off.
And is going to do so. I'll tell you what, another strong run for Juan Pablo Montoya as well. The more and more oval races that we do, the more and more competitive he gets. His one win came at Talladega, but had a great run at Milwaukee, another great run today. I am so impressed with that 84.
Had a monster run up to the back of the 24, who had to jump in front of him thanks to Stewart showing the nose down the front stretch. Dropped down to 4th as Earnhardt Jr. went around his outside for that position. So 88 now pulls into 3rd place. Kurt Busch, comfortable lead. Down the back stretch as this race continues to wind away, we see the last couple guys starting to situate themselves as contenders for the win. Believe it is about back to Kane, who might have a shot at this thing, but if they start battling up front, they could pull more back into it. Edwards and Yaley, who is still having this outstanding run, as well as Kyle Busch, his teammate Mayfield, and others could potentially pull back into it if they start fighting up front, but Kurt Busch has begun to pull away from the lead.
Kurt Busch has started to pull away, and Dale Jr. has started to pluck away at this 81 car. I believe right now that 88 is the fastest car on the racetrack. Didn't have a great corner that time, or maybe Kennington
Tell
just
you who
had a
did.
tremendous corner.
DJ Kennington with a monster 1 and 2, pulls all the way to the bottom of Kurt Busch and sails past him into turn 3. Kennington, your new leader.
I'll tell you what, that was the Canadian saying, it's go time. And he pulls right out in front. What a run. Maybe the best run we've seen all day long.
Kurt Busch still giving chase in second. Junior in the mix. It's a 3-car race for the lead as the 01 going to maybe try to arc it down a little bit, get the run off of 2. Couldn't quite make it stick. Kennington found the gas early. Junior still there. Labonte has pulled into 4th now. This battle for the last guy out of this mix for the lead has just continued to whittle away. We've seen Labonte now. Stewart has spent some time up there. Gordon Edwards has pulled into the mix. Kane in the middle of 3 wide back there behind these race leaders. But it's looking like it could be a 3-car race. But again, still that final pit stop could throw this thing on its head. 11 laps to go.
Absolutely it could. We saw earlier in that green flag cycle before when Kurt Busch came seemingly out of nowhere to put himself in this fight. And he hasn't left it. But with a final pit stop coming, this is a grand opportunity for one of these guys, maybe at the back end of the top 10, to plunge themselves into the fight for this win.
Busch underneath the Kennington, got the nose on the quarter panel going towards 3 and got underneath him side by side. 10 laps to go here from the Auto Club 400. Junior trying to figure out which way to go. Kennington the not at the line.
And Kurt Busch gonna try to keep it on the inside of Kennington. He is, and he's gonna take that lead right back. Junior unable to get alongside Kennington there, took a look. But these three have been fairly organized here.
Busch to the bottom of the racetrack, and he has the lead. Kennington thought about trying to go around his outside into turn 3, couldn't keep it with him. 9 to go at the line. Between the top 3, as they still sit comfortably in front of Labonte in 4th, Stewart in 5th, Jeff Gordon in the 24 in 6th, 7th is Edwards, 8th is Kane, 9th is Montoya. Yaley trying to close out this top 10 further back. Kennington not giving up yet. Had a great middle of the corner there. Closes back to the back bumper of Busch to the inside down the backstretch.
You know, with the situation that Jimmy Johnson's team has put themselves in, I feel like these front guys have gotten to the position now in this race where, you know, fuel only is definitely part of the discussion, and that would essentially throw the 48 strategy out of the window if that is the case. Dale Jr. with a huge run, looking to find the middle lane, but it doesn't quite open up for him. We've got 2-car tandems down into turn 1.
Labonte with an even bigger run than the 88, got up into the mix for the lead, went with his teammate, DJ Kennington on the bottom. Busch trying to find the run on the outside. Junior a little bit squirrely in 1 and 2, couldn't stay with the leaders, but Kennington clear for the lead off into turn 3 this time. And Labonte underneath his teammate. What a move by the 18, trying to steal it away late. Out of turn 4, has first. Side by side for the lead as they take this lap, this time by Labonte. First lap lead of the day.
He nearly got into his teammate. He drove it in there so hard. But another Gibbs car is lurking in the picture. Carl Edwards has worked his way into this battle. 19 finding more long run pace yet again. That might be the fastest long run car on the racetrack.
Kennington around the outside of his teammate Labonte takes back the lead from the 18 and covers him off just about into turn 3. As we head through turns 3 and 4, it'll be 6 laps to go. Tell you what, we're getting close enough to the point in this race, you might start thinking about people making it to the end on fuel in this one.
Definitely possible. You're going to have to make it a couple more laps before you see people come in to think that that's maybe a possibility. But we're getting down to it here. It's time to start thinking about it. As Kennington got a massive run out of the corner, is going to leave these guys in the dust. So somebody's going to have to emerge right here to try to run him back down, because that is a big, big gap.
Nobody on pit road yet. Leaders leaving turn 4 this time to take 5 laps to go. Kennington has started to pull these gaps we've gotten familiar with, but Kurt Busch had a big run on the outside out of turn 4 to try and close the gap. 5 to go from the Auto Club 400.
Lap times have fallen off as far as we've seen them today, almost off a second and a half. So the tire's starting to wear. You gotta start thinking about maybe pitting in. But if you can make it a couple more laps here, the possibility opens up to make it to the end. Saw a couple cars there.
We're down pit road. Kennington hand out the window, I believe, and he's going to come in. All the leaders are going to come in. This is everybody. Here comes Kane to take the lead.
Stewart couldn't get down to the bottom. He had to pit from the middle lane. Actually helped him out quite a bit there. He's going to get past Labonte, who is slowing on pit road.
Couple of cars made it that time. Again, I think we're a little bit too far for these guys to think about making it to the end, but Kane's going to go the extra mile. This is important. You want to maybe save a tiny fraction of a second of how much fuel you got to put in there. Only 3 cars made it. It was a 43, 30, and 12. Kane's really the only one that was even close to the lead who made it another lap, but he's going to pit in here, taking 3 to go, so the battle is off of pit road for the lead. And Kennington got held in the pits. The battle for the lead off of pit road goes to Kurt Busch.
I'll tell you what, Jimmy Johnson's still on the racetrack. I don't know if he's a lap down or not.
I believe he
but
is.
He's still. So maybe he will be able to make it to the end. I don't think it will cycle out in his favor. But Kurt Busch going to have the lead here. We'll see if anybody's close enough to have a big enough run on him. Does not look like it. 0-1 with smooth sailing.
Disastrous for DJ Kennington, who got held massively in the pit lane. Believe he might be out of the top 20 now with all that traffic that was 3 and 4 wide next to him.
And unbelievably unfortunate for that 81 who was well within the fight for the win all day. Gets held in the pits and is now going to finish amongst the mid-pack. And he had fought his way all the way up to 3rd place in points. But I'll tell you what, Casey Kane with a big exit here. He could potentially cycle out with a chance to win this race.
Side by side between Kurt Busch and Casey Kane for the race lead. Out of turn 4 this time, the 01's got first on the outside. 2 laps to go, but Kane is right on the back bumper of the 01. Junior in 3rd if anything happens.
Junior closing in. This is a 3-car race for the race win. Kurt Busch drove it in really deep that time. Not a great corner for Casey Kane. Is going to drop back to 3rd. Dale Jr., what can he do with Kurt for the win?
5-car of Ricky Hendrick is blowing up, and that is going to bring out a yellow flag. This will be the conclusion of the race coming to the line. Junior got there, couldn't make it happen. Off of turn 4, the caution is going to end this race a lap early, and Kurt Busch is going to take the win here, providing he makes it to the flag, which I do believe he will. Last lap, under yellow flag, and the caution comes out with Hendrick losing an engine.
And that's got to be heartbreaking for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He made a late lunge there. I think he saw the caution lights and realized that it was either he do that or he accepts he loses the race. Got underneath him, but Kurt just barely able to cover him off. Kurt Busch, at the track that effectively ended his championship hopes last season, gets redemption and is going to win this race.
So Ricky Hendrick loses an engine with just a lap and a half to go, and we are going to finish under caution. It's Kurt Busch leading the field 2 at the top 5 goes 01, 88, 12, 19, 24. And Montoya with a top 10. JJ Yaley, what a run by this 10. Going to get 7th here today. Atwood 8th, Labonte 9th, and Brian Vickers of Massive Recovery Drive into 10th. But through the tri-oval here, as Kurt Busch is going to seal the deal here today. An exciting run all the way to the end, and Kurt Busch wins it here today. I believe that is his 2nd win of this season as Ganassi continues to carry strong.
And I'll tell you what, Kurt is another guy on these 2-milers who has been extremely, extremely strong. and was well within the fight last season in the fall to win that race, lost the engine, effectively ended his championship. But Kurt Busch, another great run on a 2-miler today, and it's going to end in victory lane.
And you see here, that move from Dale Jr., he had a big run on that 01 going into turn 3, but was way too far back going into the corner to try and get underneath him. Tried. He threw it in there, but just didn't quite have the grip to stay with that 01.
And unfortunately for Dale Jr., the long wait will extend another week. But for Kurt Busch, it's victory here in California for the first time in quite a while, and for the second time this season. Gonna enter victory lane. But it's gotta feel good to win at this racetrack after all that happened last season here.
Absolutely. So Kurt Busch wins it here tonight, and he takes the checkered flag after a crazy battle for the checkered here today. On behalf of Nate joining me in the booth tonight, I'm your host, Caden Reif. It's been a pleasure to have you along, as always. Next week, week number 11, we head to a new racetrack, the final episode of this West Coast Swing. It'll be Portland for race number 11, but we'll catch you then. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.